What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video with your boy Shifty. In today's video, I'm going to go through my 2025 season predictions for the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to quickly go game by game. We'll talk about each of our opponents a little bit, and I will let you know how I think the 49ers will do this upcoming season. The 49ers 2025 schedule is very different compared to what we saw last season. For example, last year the 49ers had the toughest schedule in the NFL based on record. This year the 49ers have the easiest schedule based on the 2024 records of our opponents. The other thing that was hugely against the 49ers last year was the difference in terms of rest. We played so many teams coming off bye weeks, coming off Thursday night football games, that really just hurt the Niners. Overall, I think it was negative 22 days of rest compared to our opponents, which is just a tough thing for any team to deal with, let alone all the injuries that we had last year. But this year, it's a lot more favorable. There are a couple of weeks where we play Monday Night Football, and then we play a team, on Sunday, and they would have had an extra days of rest, something like that, but nothing crazy. No teams coming off bye weeks, with the exception of week 15 against the Titans, where we're also coming off a bye week. So no team really has an advantage or a disadvantage there. But overall, really like the look of this schedule. We do have one more away game compared to home game with the 17 games every year that alternates. But let's just get in and kick it off right now. Week 1 at the Seattle Seahawks. They bring in Sam Darnold, they bring in Cooper Kupp, Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, they're out of here. They have a new offensive coordinator. I think this will be a really tough and close matchup, though I just think the 49ers, we're relying so much on so many young players to step up week 1 on the road. I have the Seahawks winning this game. It's going to be really tough. Again, a hostile environment, but the Seahawks, I just have winning this game closely, but we start the season 0-1. Next week, we go at the New Orleans Saints, and this is a game that there's no must-win games in week 2, but we have to win this game. If we are serious about getting back to the playoffs, the Niners have to beat the Saints week 2. And after playing week 1 and kind of getting used to that hostile environment, going to the hostile environment of the Saints, the rookies would have got that experience under their belt. Plus, I just think the Niners are a lot more talented than the Saints, especially at key positions. You look at the Saints, a lot of their best players pretty much in their last legs with Cameron Jordan and Demario Davis. So I think the Niners will just be too much for the Saints, and we move to 1-1. Week 3, we play and host our first home game of the 2025 season against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals are a tricky team here. I like their draft. I think Walter Nolan is banged up, but I like Walter Nolan and Will Johnson. Those are two guys who could have gone top 10, top 15. So I think the Cardinals had a good draft. Getting Sweat in free agency is a really good move by them. And I think they're going to be just a team that's going to be tough to handle. We always struggle with Kyler Murray. I do think, though, that we take and beat the Cardinals in our home debut of the 2025 season, and we move to 2-1. Week 4, then we host the Jacksonville Jaguars. Liam Cohen comes in as head coach. They move up and draft Travis Hunter. Will that be enough? What will his role be with the Jaguars? Will he be playing offense? Will he be playing cornerback? A bit of both? Who knows? At least week 4, we would have had 3 weeks of video to kind of look back on, and we can see what the Jaguars want to do with Travis Hunter, or at least get an idea. There are talented players for the Jags with Brian Thomas Jr. and Josh Hines-Allen, so there's a lot of good players on that team, but I just think the Niners will be a little bit too much. I think that Trevor Lawrence still struggles to find any sort of consistency, and I think it'll just be, if we played them maybe later in the season, maybe they could take us, but I think this week, it's still early in the season. They're still adjusting to this offense. I like the Niners to beat the Jaguars, and we move to 3-1 on the season. We have a very quick turnaround then, Thursday night against the Rams. And I think this will be a tough game. It's going to be in LA, in Levi South. This game will go one of two ways. If Matthew Stafford's playing, I have the Rams winning. Jimmy Garoppolo's playing, I have the 49ers winning. We know Jimmy G, he's due for 2 or 3 or 4 just dreadful passes in every single game. Matthew Stafford, we know, is a very, very capable quarterback. He seems to be coming into the season with a back injury. He hasn't played preseason, hasn't really practiced that much. He's such a long-time veteran, I don't know if he really needs to, but it is a concern for the Rams. I'm going to assume that Stafford plays this game, and I have the Rams beating us on Thursday Night Football, so we move down to 3-2 on the season. We then follow that game up traveling across the country to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're coming off a Thursday night game, so we do have that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the week to prepare for Tampa Bay. We did go in and beat Tampa Bay last year. They no longer have Liam Cohen there calling the offense, where Baker Mayfield just excelled. I like the draft picks that they made. I like Emeka Egbuka, and that's a really good pick in the first round to complement that receiving core with Mike Evans. Will Chris Godwin be back? Bucky Irving's a good running back. I just think that the 49ers I like Kyle Shanahan's matchup against Todd Bowles. I think that we traditionally have done well against his defenses, and I think that will be no different this coming season. Possibly at this point, it's going to be very close to guys like Brandon Ayuk and Malik Mustafa coming back. We will have Demarcus Robinson back by this time, so I think the 49ers offense will definitely be rolling come this game. We follow that up against the Atlanta Falcons. At this point in the season, we're going to be 4-2. We host the Atlanta Falcons at home, and I have the 49ers winning this game. I think the Falcons are one of those teams where they're a year away. Is Michael Penix the guy? He showed some promising things as a rookie, but a jury's still out on him. You like Drake London, you like Bijan Robinson, Darnell Mooney's a good wide receiver. They were aggressive in the draft, getting some edge rushers, which they sorely need. They do have some good players. AJ Terrell is there, but I don't think they're there quite yet. I think for the Falcons, who are coming off a Monday night game and then traveling to San Francisco, I think that'll be too big of an ask for the young quarterback Michael Penix and that team. I think the Niners win this game. We move to 5-2. We now, and that's on Sunday Night Football, by the way. Next week after that, we go at Houston. So we travel to DeMeco Ryans and the Houston Texans. They're coming off a Monday Night Football game. However, I think that this is our toughest game on the schedule at Houston. Like, you look at that offense, we know Joe Mixon should probably be back by then, but CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, you love the draft. I liked it anyways, with Jaden Higgins, and it was who was the other Iowa State wide receiver, Jalen Noel, I think it was. But yeah, just really good weapons for CJ Stroud. They change out their offensive coordinator. That should help them out. Then you look at the defense, led by DeMeco Ryans, with Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, Stingley Jr. and Lassiter and Petrie, and so many good players. Azeez Al-Shire's there, linebackers. So yeah, I think that the Texans, that'll be the toughest game of the season. And I do have us losing that game. And that was week 8, and that puts the 49ers at 5-3. Following up that game, we go at the New York Giants. Will it be Russell Wilson? Will it be time for Jackson Dart? Who knows? Will Brian Daboll still be the coach? Hard to say. The Giants, there is some positivity surrounding that team, weirdly enough, despite the last few seasons. But I think that positivity is going to quickly get crushed, because if you look at their schedule, it is just absolutely brutal. And Brian Daboll, probably the seat's already fairly warm for him. Russell Wilson didn't look great in Pittsburgh, certainly didn't look good in Denver. Can he resurrect his career? You gotta like Malik Neighbors. Tyrone Tracy, pretty underrated guy. That defensive line could be their saving grace. When you look at Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, those guys just gotta be absolute wreckers, and they just gotta be forcing quarterbacks to interceptions, fumbles. They gotta be absolute game wreckers. It's possible that they will wreck some games. Not this one, though. I have the 49ers beating the New York Giants and then moving to 6-3 on the season. After that, we host the LA Rams, and I think we get our revenge on the Rams here. We've already kind of talked about them. Who knows if Stafford will still be healthy at this point, but I like the 49ers to beat the Rams at home in week 10, and now we move to 7-3 on the season. Following that up, we go at the Arizona Cardinals. I think this will be one of those tricky games. I think that Kyler Murray could make some plays with his legs. I just see this game as a loss against in Arizona. I don't know. I just wouldn't have a great feeling about that. I think that the Cardinals do beat us in Arizona. At this stage in the season, remember though, Ayuk should be back and Mustafa, both those guys will absolutely be back. So that's going to be a huge boost to the team. I just think that this game we lose to the Cardinals, unfortunately, and we move to 7-4 by week 11. Week 12, we host the Carolina Panthers on Monday Night Football, and I like the 49ers here. I think that we should absolutely win this game against the Panthers. The Panthers, I think, are like a step behind the Falcons. They're fairly close, actually. When you look at, like, Bryce Young looked a lot better last year compared to his rookie year. Chuba Hubbard, Tedderell McMillan, maybe Xavier Legette can learn how to catch the ball. The offensive line isn't too bad. They actually have a number of good players there. The defense has got to be a lot better. I still think that they're at least a year away, but they're going in a good direction. Dave Canales has done a good job, I think, in Carolina, considering what he's had to work with. We do beat the Panthers, though, on Monday Night Football, and that is week 12, so that puts the 49ers at 8-4. Week 13, we travel to the Cleveland Browns. We're coming off a short week. We played Monday Night Football against the Panthers. We go to Cleveland. I think 99.9% of 49er fans will have us penciled in or probably tattooed in to win this game, but I think that we lose this game. Every single year, it seems like the 49ers, we lose some game that we have no business losing. You know, just something weird things happen. I think it's going to be the weather's not going to be great at that time of the year. It's going to be muddy. The one thing which I don't like is the matchup here. Jim Schwartz seems to, I don't want to say he has Kyle Shanahan's number exactly, but he knows how to scheme up and slow down the Kyle Shanahan offense. Whatever it is, he just knows what he's doing when it comes against this 49ers offense. We saw it the last time we played in Cleveland. Hopefully we get the win here, of course, but I just think it's another case of, weird things happen. Maybe if Flacco's still starting, he's just lobbing bombs down to Jerry Jeudy. And I just have this being a weird kind of game. How do we lose this game? So that puts us at 8-5 on the season as we head into our bye week. Coming out of the bye, we host the Tennessee Titans. They are also coming off their bye week. I have the 49ers winning this game. I think that we absolutely should be able to cause a lot of confusion for rookie Cam Ward, who is probably the least talked about number one overall quarterback ever. They do have some good players there in Tennessee with Calvin Ridley. They bring in Tyler Lockett. They have Tony Pollard at running back, and they have some players on defense. You gotta like Jeffrey Simmons. I just think that they, similar to maybe like the Panthers and Falcons, they're probably another year. They're probably about 2 years away from competing, and I do think the 49ers will just be too much for them. Plus, after losing that weird game, I think, in Cleveland, the Niners will just be out for revenge. I think this game could get really, really ugly. So I actually have the 49ers winning this 9-5 on the season. After 15 weeks, we had our bye week there, of course. Then we follow that up with at the Indianapolis Colts on Monday Night Football. I also like the 49ers to win this game. Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, none of those guys scare you. The defense, Buckner, we love Buckner. Mooney Ward, we love Mooney Ward. They do have Jonathan Taylor's a good running back. Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, Alec Pierce. There's some weapons there, but just who's going to get them the ball? And despite a good offensive line, I just have zero faith in their quarterbacks, and I think that the Niners offense will just be in a really good situation then. So I have the 49ers beating the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis on Monday Night Football. 6 days later, we host the Chicago Bears. I actually have the Niners losing this game. Look, the Bears, I think, could be the most improved team in the NFL. That's not exactly a hot take, but you love the addition of Ben Johnson as head coach and the offensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, a defensive coordinator. They bring in so many players. I think they brought in Grady Jarrett on the defensive line. You love what they did with the offensive line. Signing Drew Dahlman, they got Jonah Jackson, who, played under Ben Johnson before. They trade for Joe Thuney from the Kansas City Chiefs. They draft Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, Rome. Like, there's weapons all over the place. And you look at the defense, and there's some good players there too. Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson. So I think the Bears game will be tricky. At this point in the season, I think that they'll be very comfortable in their offense. Us coming off a road Monday night game, maybe we're just not as prepared as we could have been or should have been. And I think the Bears win this game, week 17. That moves the 49ers to 10-6 on the season. Last game of the year, wearing the rivalry jerseys, hosting the Seattle Seahawks. I had the Niners winning this game. I think it should be a really good game, similar to week 1. It's going to be super competitive, but I think the Niners, with the playoff shot on the line, whether it's wild card, whether it's to win the division, I think the Niners do enough to get the win at home against the Seattle Seahawks. That puts us at 11-6. The question is, will that get the Niners? Will we win the NFC West with that record? Do we have a wild card spot? That all remains to be seen. I think the 49ers will be a team that's going to be active near the trade deadline. We typically have in this John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan regime. Last year we weren't really, and I think that they recognized the team just wasn't there last year. But when we've been competitive, we are not afraid to make moves at the trade deadline. You think back to, getting guys like Emmanuel Sanders in 2019, Christian McCaffrey in 2022. We will trade for guys and bring guys here, Chase Young in 2023. So I could see that happening if we're on the road that we are, where we're winning games, we're very competitive. I could see us making a trade, maybe for a defensive tackle, maybe for a safety, who knows? But I do like the Niners to make a move mid-season. But there you have it, guys. There is my 2025 season prediction. I had the Niners at 11-6 at the end of the regular season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, where you agree with me, where you disagree with me. Totally fine if you disagree. I am nowhere near perfect, and these are all just predictions, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to thank you for watching it. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm going to head on out of here, but before I do, I'm going to say 2 things. The butt counts, and I'll catch you guys on Sunday for week 1 at Seattle.